All right, welcome back to Lower Keys Living, everybody. This is Sunday, a couple days after Helene came through. We got brushed by her. If you saw my other video, we did not take a direct hit. Had some wind, some branches down, some street flooding, but nothing major here in the lower Florida Keys. Unfortunately, not the folks up on the Bend area and all the way up through Georgia, North Carolina were not so lucky. So prayers with those folks. But did finally make it out fishing today. Was looking for some mahi and some tuna. This purple course right here is my normal route out when I'm starting out trolling. This is where the Wilkes-Barre is. If you've seen my other videos, love setting up trolling, so I'm going across that. It's a massive wreck, a lot of structure out there, and usually holds lots of fish. But today, the swell had a strong south swell going this direction. So heading up to the Wilkes-Barre was almost straight into that swell, was taking a pounding. So my plan had been to come out to the Wilkes-Barre, and then I like hitting all these contour areas. You can see my markers out here. Those pins are where I like doing deep dropping, but there's so much contour on the bottom. Tends to be a good area to fish. And I'd heard people had been getting mahi out at that 600-foot zone. Not a lot, but that's where people had been catching them. So I thought I'd try my luck out there. But with the swell that coming that direction, I decided head to one of my other favorite starting spots. And this course takes me diagonally against the swell, so not pounding nearly as much. A little more rolling, a little rocking back and forth a little bit more, but not that pounding and taking the swells head on. So this right here, this is the USS Kendrick, another big wreck. Have had a lot of luck catching tuna over the top of this. Speed jigging for other fish and bottom fishing for grouper and stuff around the base of that. So I decided to come out, cross the Kendrick, and then get back onto what my planned route was is to head out to the 600-foot area and then head back in. Did not pick anything up on the Kendrick, but it wasn't maybe 15-20 minutes after I crossed the Kendrick and made my turn out to the deeper water. It was right in this section right here. Both lions went off screaming. Knew I had a couple of good fish on. At first I had assumed it were tuna since they both went off that fast, but it was not. Turned around, saw one of the lines jumping. It was a nice sized mahi. Unfortunately, one of the lines broke, dropped off. Fish dehooked itself, so I still had one on. So I was assuming I had run into a pair, a cow and a bull mahi right in here. Landed the cow. She was 36 inches. You'll see the video of that landing here in a second, but just a nice fish. So it had me pretty excited that I got off to a decent start here. And here's where my mistake was, because if you've seen my other videos, if you find a depth where the fish are active, stick with that depth. So I should have just taken a line right along here and just started a 90-degree zigzag. So you go up, make a 90-degree turn, and just make a turn every 5 minutes or so. So you're working that depth consistently, because if there's fish there, that tends to be the depth where the fish were. But nope, had in my head that I was going to stick with my plan and head out to the markers, my normal course. So headed out, followed the course all the way out, as you can see. Went right around this marker. Did not see anything. And this is about an hour-and-a-half trip coming out here at 7-knot trolling speed. Made the turn, decided to come back in. This direction was nice because I was rolling right with the waves, so nice smooth ride coming in. It was nice and enjoyable. You can see here, this is another wreck that I target off of, but I dropped this pin in here today because coming in right here, you can see all the twists and turns on my boat. Ran into more mahi right here. Had a couple of small ones, but one nice keeper that was just a hair under 30 inches, and I'll show you that one too. But do as I say, not as I do, because I've said in my videos, you find a depth where the fish are, stick with that depth, because if you'd follow this depth contour line all the way up and I kept my zigzags going, look what I would have run into, and save myself 2 hours of trolling time out and back to depth. So do as I say, not as I do. But again, if you find fish at a depth, stick with that depth and run that zigzag pattern. So if you take that line, if you go 45 degrees off a line and run for 4 or 5 minutes, make a 90-degree turn, cross that line, but run that line for 4 or 5 minutes, and it keeps you on that depth, lets you work that depth area pretty consistently. It's a nice way to run a pattern and find fish. And again, absolutely what I should have done today, would have saved a lot of time, a lot of gas. But on the other hand, it was a beautiful day out on the water. Did run into some boats that were out here trolling this area. Talked to them on the radio. Either one of them was catching anything. So I was glad I made the turn, came back in, and got these mahi here. So I'm going to roll the clips on the 2 mahi that I ended up keeping today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on Lower Keys Living. All right, so here got the first of the mahi on. So I had, as I mentioned earlier, I had 2 on at once. The one on the port pole, which would be to the right side of the screen, took off, headed to the left side of the screen, and crossed over. So I'm bringing this fish in, and I've got the lines crossed. So you see me back and forth here a little bit, trying to make sure the lines aren't too tangled up as I'm bringing it in. The hook from the line from the mahi that freed itself is over the top of the line on the fish that's on the cow mahi that I ended up keeping. So trying to bring that in without tearing the hook through and trying to get it off of the line. So you'll see the fish come up here alongside the boat right there. Still got the lines wrapped a couple of times, so trying to get my pole over and under that wrap so it doesn't become a tight tangle and get the fish out of the water at the same time. Just one of those things when out fishing by yourself, cannot reel 2 lines in at once to clear them. If I've got a good fish on, I know I'll try and pull the other lines in first. So did not have the opportunity to do that, and probably should have left the boat in gear, but the water was so rough, didn't want to take a chance of the boat getting away from me if I fell out on the rocking. The GoPro stabilizer tends to minimize the amount of rocking you see on this here, but it was a pretty rocking day out there. So just being safe, I decided when I'm bringing fish in, I would throw the boat in neutral here at this point. So doing that right now, just working on gaffing this fish, getting the lines cleared from each other, and bringing it up. But again, this was just after I passed over the Kendrick. And there it is, double gaff this. It went through and then back through the other side, which is why it looked kind of deflated there. You see how easy the hook came out on this one. But this one, again, measured out at 38 inches, so a really nice size mahi. I will keep those every time. And I just love, I will never get tired of the color on these mahi. So that is mahi number 1 in the boat. And then this is where I should have stayed at this depth trolling, but instead my stubborn mindset went on out to the course that I had planned and wasted 2 hours of trolling time when I should have stayed in this area and at this depth looking for mahi. So there's that first fish in the box before I ice it down. Now here's the second one. So the pole you see on the right in the corner, that is my deep drop lure. That one's down about 35 feet. It's a nice big Rapala that I've got down there. Just looking for mainly wahoo on that one. And I've got the mahi on this other pole. So bringing the other mahi in, and you're going to see here in a minute, you can see lots of pressure on that deep drop pole. But here in a second, you'll watch that dive down. Something hit that and it started screaming. There you go, right there. There was something on that line right there. And you'll see it'll pop off here in just a second. So whatever's on there hit that. It screamed really hard. I was pretty excited, hoping that I had a nice wahoo on. But then it just let up. So it was only on momentarily. You just see the pole just popped right there. So whatever is on had just gotten off right at that point. So bit of an excitement out there today. But again, this is at that same depth as the first mahi, maybe about 7 or 8 miles straight east of where I picked that up when I got done with my great big diagonal route there today. So, but again, this is mahi number 2 that I put in the box. This one came in at 29 inches. So another decent size mahi. I will keep those when I'm trying to stock up the freezer and the fridge for the week. So disappointed whatever hit that deep drop lure got off, but I was very happy to get a second mahi in the box and calling it good for the day with that one. Again, put a lot of miles on the boat unnecessarily today, but It's always fun being out on the water, especially on a beautiful sunny day like today. Uh, this hook actually went right through his jaw. I had a hard time getting this one off of here. Normally this hook come right out, but literally I think it went right through the jawbone on this guy. He was locked in there pretty hard. So it took a little bit of effort to pop that fish hook out, but got it out. So I ended up from this point pulling the lines, heading on in. That between the two, that gives me plenty of mahi on the table for the week. So pretty excited about that, and calling it a day. So there's the two mahi in there. That first one on top, the second one down below. Got those cleaned up. They are all filleted and in the fridge. Going to cook those up. So I'll have mahi in the fridge all week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on Lower Keys Living.